Hey guys, I'm going to jump right back in here to add some support for students who are challenged with completing the mounting block straight bracket design. And so I'm gonna, go through it quickly today, and hopefully touch upon some areas that you may be having some difficulty with. This is meant only to give you some additional support, if necessary. Maybe there's some small item that you've missed. Maybe there's something you were a little confused about. And so, hopefully by the time I complete this, I will have helped you clarify any issues you might have with this particular drawing. So, gonna ask you to hang in there. It's gonna be a few minutes. It's gonna take a few minutes of your day, and hopefully you'll gain something from this. So, let's get started. Um, Generally speaking, I've checked my workspace units and we're working in multimeters, of course, 2 point decimal and grams. So um, those are set, and I am prepared to get started. So this particular drawing, as usual, because we're in the introductory stage of Onshape and Solid Professor, I'm going to kind of start out in a way that I would with students that are, just kind of beginning. So I'm going to hit sketch. I'm going to start this on the front plane. I'm going to hit N to normal fit. And I'm still going to continue my unusual process of creating two construction lines, and just as reference lines, if necessary. May not be necessary to use them at all, but sometimes it is necessary to use these as a reference point, or connect to them as a reference point, and it oftentimes can help you with clearly defining your sketch. Okay, so we're going to start this off with just the line tool, which I'll leave activated. And I'm going to draw a sketch very similar to this sketch here. I'm going to move up the line here. I'm going to go here. Um, Click there. Gonna go here, and then I'm gonna close this sketch, and make sure you always close off your sketches. Okay. And I'm going to quickly add dimensions to this sketch, and the dimensions will be as follows. So I'm going to dimension from that line to that line. I'm going to pull that out there, and that's 50. As far as I know, that's 50. Enter. I'm going to dimension from this point to this point. That should be 40. Enter. I'm going to dimension from this line to this line, and that should be 75. Enter. And one more dimension. I'm going to dimension from this point to that point, and that should be 20. And that should fully define this first sketch for us. So we're in good shape so far. And I'm going to move forward with the extrusion. Now, I wanted you to see how to complete this particular block part. I'm not sure if in Solid Professor, if they provide you with this particular part, and then ask you to modify it. But anyway, we're starting from the very beginning. So I'm going to click the green check. I'm going to put this as isometric, and I'm going to go to my extrude. Of course, we're adding material here. So that's where you see new, whatever. I need to tell it what I want to extrude, that area there. And I think the extrusion is 125. The direction that it's going in is quite okay. So I'm going to hit that enter. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, guys, so that looks pretty good. I'll open it up so you guys can see what that looks like. And I'm going to generate another sketch at this time. So for this sketch, we're going to actually select, and I'm going to do it from here. I'm going to select the top plane, the top face on there, and I'm going to right click, and you can see this box opens up. So I can actually start a new sketch from here. Gonna start a new sketch, gonna hit the N on the keyboard, and I'm ready to get started. So this sketch calls for a circle. I'm gonna hit C on the keyboard. That activates the circle tool, and I'm just going to create a circle. Now that red circle you see there, that's only because of Screencastify, the program that I'm drawing in. For some reason or another, it creates a red circle, but there's a blue circle that actually takes place in Onshape drawing. So don't get confused when you see that red circle. Okay, so I'm gonna let loose there, and I'm gonna get my dimension tool quickly, and I'm gonna dimension this one from there to there. Should be 20, and I'm gonna kind of um, and I think that's 20, enter, and yeah, and then I'm going to dimension from here to there, and I think that one is 25, enter, and one more. I'm gonna give this a diameter um, dimension, and I think the diameter dimension is 20, and you can see it's fully defined. At this point, the circle's the last thing I've been working on, and it's what I want to extrude. So I don't actually need to check the green, the green box. You can, as a matter of formality, that's up to you. I normally just go straight to extrude, and you can see the last part, the last sketch I was working on is highlighted to be extruded. Okay. If you're not trying to extrude the last sketch you were working on, then I would suggest, yes, click the green box and then move forward and highlight the things that you want to extrude. In this case, I want to extrude the circular sketch, and I want to remove material, and so I'm going to through all, because I want that to go through the particular structure or the part. And so you can see it cleared up there. So you can see I can do the isometric for you, and that will help you see the hole all the way through there. Okay, and I'll get that up there so you can actually see that hole in there. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the green box, and that's good. So I'm gonna actually keep rolling. I want to create another sketch. So I'm going to see how this works out for me. So I'm gonna again select that top face, and I'm gonna right click and new sketch. Okay, in on the keyboard for normal to face. This time I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to create a rectangular figure. Now, you can create a rectangular figure using the rectangular tool. I prefer to draw it in, but it's up to the designer, the individual that's creating the drawing. So that's a preference that you may or may not have. So let me create this rectangular figure. I'm just going to try to keep everything as close to even as possible. And I'm going to bring that down here, and that's it. Okay. So now what I want to do is I actually want to dimension that. So I'm going to take this dimension tool, and I'm going to go from that line to that line, and 75 is the length of that. And I'm going to go, the width of that is going to be, I'm sorry, the width of from that line to that line, the width is going to be, and I'll bring that Well, it doesn't matter. I can take that there. I think the width is 15, if I'm not mistaken. So enter. Okay, so I've got my rectangular. Remember, that's the last sketch that I was working on. So I'm just going to go straight to extrude because I know I want to extrude that. And you can see how it highlights that particular piece. I know I want to remove material, okay? And I'll show you where I'm removing material from. And so let me bring that around. And this is your extrusion. You can see the arrow going down, material there. So the dimension there is 12.5. Okay. So I'm going to put in 12, hit enter, and you can see that this came back up a little bit. So that's great. So everything looks good as far as I'm concerned. Everything looks good. Let me bring that there so you can see it, and I'll turn it. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and click the green box. And so far, everything looks pretty good. I'm okay with everything. If you notice, I have not tried to fill it anything at the moment or chamfer. I haven't added any chamfers. I want to get my sketches in first, and then I will go back and fill it, those edges. So I'm going to create another sketch on the top, okay? And I'm going to select the top. I'm going to create another sketch, new sketch. I'm going to go into normal face, and I'm going to get my line tool once again, and I'm actually going to start a line right in this area. I'm going to start a line here. I'm going to click there. I'm going to go just a little ways like there, right? And I'm going to click that line off. And from there, I want to grab my arc. I'm going to use an arc here. And I want to use a tangent arc. Okay, so I'm going to select tangent arc. I'm going to go right back to the end point of that line. I'm going to click. I'm going to bring my arc, and I'm going to just kind of reference that point there. So when I get here, and I'm going to reference that point. So when I get here, it'll give me the yellow guidelines, as you can see. So I'll know kind of where to click to keep that even. And I'm going to do it right there. Okay. I'm going to get my line tool again, and I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click there. And this is the crude shape that I'm about to complete so that I can extrude it. But there's some things I want to do first before I actually do that. So I actually want to move this piece. I want to move this extrusion, and I want to center it. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab the line tool. I'm going to make that a construction line. I'm going to hover here, not click on anything. I'm going to hover here. I'm going to just kind of move down this line. And you can see if I move down this line, you see this little box come about. And that is my midpoint on this line. And I just want to click right there. I'm going to create a construction line right there. Okay. So that's my construction line. And I actually want to center this drawing, this shape. I want to center that to the midpoint of this line. So how will I do that? So I'm going to deactivate the line. I'm going to deactivate the construction tool. I'm going to come here. I'm going to select the center of that arc, and I'm going to select this line. I'm going to drop down my coincident box, and I'm going to select coincident. And you can see that I've made this point coincident with the midpoint of this line. So now this is centered with the midpoint of that line. So now I just want to add a few more dimensions so that I can fully define this figure. So I'm going to add a dimension from here, from that point to that point. I think that should be 15. And I'm going to add a dimension to this arc, a radius. I'm going to add a radius to that arc. And I think the radius to that arc is 12.5. And that's Solid Professor's favorite dimension. So 12.5, and I'm going to hit enter, and that's the shape that I'm working for. So that's still centered with the midpoint, fully defined. Okay, everything's fully defined, and I want to extrude this now. Okay, I'm going to show you this is a different type of dimension. This is a different type of extrusion here. So I'm going to just go straight to the extrusion, and you can see that that part is highlighted. Okay, I'm going to create a isometric of that so you can see it, and I just want to kind of drag it into place. So in this case, we're actually going to remove material. So I want to click the remove, and you can see it actually goes down. But right now I'm still in the blind, and if I were to cut through this slanted face here, I would not get the type of extrusion or cut that is necessary to that is required for this drawing. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to hit my drop down box, and I'm going to select up to the vertex. Okay, so you can see a difference there, and I'm actually cutting up from this piece here. Okay, so because I'm cutting up from what's here, this particular vertex line, I'm cutting up from that. So I'm going to select this edge here. See how it highlights right there? I'm going to select that edge and watch what happens. There's my cut. And that's up from the vertex. And you see it here in the box, vertex of extrude 1. Okay, so there is what I was looking for. I'm good. I'm going to click the green box, and that's my product so far. Okay, few more things to do, guys, and we'll be finished this. As you can see, not does not take that long to get through this. So I'm going to kind of flip this a little bit. I'm going to first chamfer this hole. So what is a chamfer? A chamfer is more like a kind of I want to say an angled wedge, sort of like an angled wedge look. Okay, so here's your chamfer tool. I'm going to pull that chamfer tool down, and I want that wedge not only to have a distance down, but I want it to have an angle. It's going to be at an angle. So in order to get that, I have to hit the drop down box. I'm not just looking for equal distance. I'm looking for distance and angle. Okay, so I'm going to select that. My default here is already just what I want. So its distance is 5 millimeters and the angle is 45 degrees. So if I want to implement that, what I'll do is select just the edge. I don't want to select the inside. I just want to select the edge of that circle of that extrusion. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and you can see what happens. It changes the interior of that particular hole around the edge, at least for 5 millimeters in distance, and you can see the angle is at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to click the green box and see that wedge, and I'll let you take a good look at it and see how you get a wedge there, sort of like an angled kind of bevel. It's kind of like an angled bevel there, but that's what the chamfer will give you. So the next thing I want to do is I want to fill it a couple of places, a couple of edges on here, and I'm going to show you what edges I want to fill it. Okay, so I'm going to fill it. I'm going to get my fillet tool. I'm going to click on that. And with the fillet tool, I simply need to select the edges I want to fillet. And I'm at 12.5. So again, Solid Professor's favorite dimension, 12.5. And that's going to be that I actually come here, select this edge, okay? And you can see the fillet jump in there. That's not the only thing though. So I'm gonna kind of come here. I want to select just the edges, guys, just the edges, no faces, just the edges. Gonna select that edge. I'm going to select just that edge. Okay. I'm going to flip it around. Wait a minute. I'm going to flip it a little bit, and I'm going to select this edge. Okay. And I'm going to select this edge. Okay. So at this point, guys, we've selected, if you look over here in the blue box, we've selected 1, 2, 3, 4 different edges. You can see that everything is filleted and looks good to me. So I'm going to click the green check, the green box. I'm going to just open it up a little bit so you can take a look at it clear and through and see all the way around. Edges are filleted. Okay, so we're going to click the green box, and there's our part, guys. There's our part right here. Everything completed. One more step and then we're finished. And that step is we're learning something about assigning materials with these particular blocks. So we want to assign materials so that we can begin to look at the mass properties according to the material that's assigned to the block. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go over here, my left hand side where it says part 1. I'm going to right click on part 1. There's a box that opens up. And if I follow up to nearly the top, there's an assigned material category. I'm going to click on that. The material I think to be assigned to this part is carbon steel. So I'm just gonna, in the search, I'm gonna begin to click carbon, and there it is, carbon steel. Make sure you don't select any other carbon, just carbon steel. And I'm going to hit the green box, that check mark. And so carbon steel has been assigned to this part. In the right hand corner at the bottom, if I hover over what looks like a scale of justice, this justice scale, if I hover over it, you'll see display mass properties. I'm going to click on that. And when I click on that, this window opens up and it's titled at the top mass properties. Okay. And I'm going to kind of pull my, part out here a little bit. What I normally tell my students to do, open this up, click on part 1 over here on the left, click on part 1. And what you're looking at here is the mass property. Now, something here I can see right away, something here is a little bit off in my drawing, but I don't think it's off that much, but still not exact mass property that I would like. I'm looking at 2839.65 grams. 2839.65 grams. What does that mean? Well, let me pull this up here. In this particular drawing, the actual grams should have been consistent with 2802.86. 2802.86. So I'm a little bit off, not that much. In the realm of tolerance, plus or minus, I'm okay. If I were to put that in the check answer, if they had the check answer, I would be okay with that. But what does that mean when you don't get the same results that you are targeting? Okay, so I'm going to go back. This simply means that somewhere my part is a little bit heavier than the recommended mass of this part. So I don't know just yet what did I do or what did I not do. Something in there is slight. It's not that much. I'm not sure. If I wanted to go back, I can always go back and look at my fillet. I can edit my fillet and see what did I put in. The fillets were 12.5 as far as I know. And this is a little bit heavier. which means that something I needed to take away a little bit more material, and I'm not sure. This says edge. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and edge 3. Okay. So I'm thinking, no, not that, not that, but it's in there somewhere. And, this is where you begin to troubleshoot your drawings. If you want perfection, you begin to troubleshoot your drawings. So, that's okay. You learn a lot more as you learn to troubleshoot your drawings. I'm sorry, I meant to go in. I wanted to check this chamfer just to make sure I added the right 5 millimeters, 45 degree. Yeah. And so that's okay. I can actually check everything. I can check my extrude for this. Um, I can go back and check my sketch. And it's imperative, guys, that you know what you are, that you have the ability to go back and check your dimensions to make sure that you dimensioned everything properly. And I'm just not sure what, just what the, where that, um, you know, where I can actually make a change to affect the mass property. I can, well, I could give you some examples, but I won't belabor that. So guess what? If you create this part and you come up with 2839, don't worry, you are in the ballpark. Everything's there. There's just something else that maybe I did not take away from this particular drawing. Okay, but as far as everything, guys, everything's great. The drawing's complete. If in the future I can actually target and be specific about where I needed to change something, I'll definitely give you an addendum to this drawing. But for that, I'm going to think that for the most part, everything here is good. I'm happy with what I'm looking at. And I know I can move forward with that. So I'm going to say, guys, guess what? Have a great day. And thank you for chiming in. Keep keep a lookout for more drawings from me. I'm going to, as I go through these drawings, I'm going to be posting them in YouTube. So keep an eye out. And if you need support completing these drawings, you can find it in YouTube. So good luck, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.